What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Eli, on Fantasy Blitz. So, for those that don't know, it's just me for the rest of the season because Nick and Adam got other things to handle. But when you deliver pizzas for a living, you got a lot of free time. Here to help you all out for the semifinals, if you're in there. Maybe you're in the semifinals for the toilet bowl. Who knows? There's my audio. I'm trying to make sure you all can hear me. There we go. But let's get into it, man. Let's go. Let's get into Week 16. I'm super excited because I'm in the semifinals. Wait, yes, you heard me correct. I am in the semifinals in both of my leagues, to be exact. But yeah, I'm here to help you all out. We're all in this together. Let's get it. Oh, let me go back. So teams on bye. For the rest of the season, there will be no teams on bye. Pretty clear and obvious that there won't be. But let's go to the chat. Let's look what's going on. Yes, sir. Chili Rainbow. What up, coin operator? You already know. Let's see. Oh, who's got? Oh, coin operator. You got to take on Adam. Ooh, that's gonna be a tough one, man. He's on Fantasy Blitz for a reason. But I believe in you. I'm not in this league, so I have no favorites. I have no bias towards anyone. But yeah, let's get into this, man. I'm so excited. All right. So for tonight, our Thursday night football game at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, New Orleans versus the Rams. Added a little something here for y'all. It's the point spread. So next to the team that's got the minus next to them, that's how much they're favored to win by. So tonight, the Rams are 4-point favorites. That's the consensus around all the betting books. But it's a pretty interesting matchup, I would say, just because both teams need to win. They need to win in order to keep their playoff hopes alive. New Orleans is looking pretty, sitting pretty, I should say, in second place in the NFC South. But it's going to be a tight one between the Bucs and the Saints overall. So the Saints are looking to win every single game that they can. Same with the Rams if they want any shot of getting in. Tonight's a big game because after this game, there's only two games for each team. So yeah, it's a must-win game for each team's on here on out. But on the New Orleans side, you got to start Kamara. You got to start Olave. Olave is starting to look healthier, right? But if he's a little banged up, now teams could definitely say, "Oh, he's healthy. He's good to go." But the thing is, they could be healthy and good to go, but are they really going to play? Is it smoke and mirrors? I'm thinking he's going to play. If you have him, start him at your wide receiver 2. You definitely don't want to make him your wide receiver 1 on a high end because I just don't know. And also New Orleans quarterback situation, man. You never know. The inconsistency is always there. It's pretty annoying. But we'll see. Hopefully we'll see some offensive production on that side, especially for Kamara and Olave. But on the Rams side, you got to start Kyren Williams. You got to start Cooper Kupp. I love Nakua. I don't love him, but I love Nakua. I think he is definitely going to be a factor tonight because Cooper Kupp's been popping off recently. He's had well over, I think, 150 yards in the past 2 games. So they're definitely going to be focusing on him with Stafford as well as doing well as of recent. But I like Nakua. I would maybe try to get him in your flex. If you're starting him at wide receiver, you're probably pinching some pennies, which is okay. We've all been there. I understand. But I don't have Stafford on there tonight because that New Orleans defense, man, they're good. They're a solid team. They like to pressure the quarterback, and for those that don't know, if you have 2 wide receivers or the wide receivers on a team, that does not mean that their quarterback won't do bad, if that makes sense, because the quarterback could easily still throw picks, easily can get sacked, fumble, whatever, and just kind of rattle up the whole game. So I wouldn't start Stafford unless you need to. Last week I had to. It all worked out. But this week I have some better options. I'm sure y'all will have some better options as well. But, man, let's get out of this one. Come on now. Saturday games, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We got Cincinnati versus Pittsburgh, a division rival matchup. So on the Cincinnati side, you're only really going to want Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. But that's if Jamar Chase is healthy, and it looks like he's not healthy. So it looks like you're going to have to start T. Higgins. He could do well like he did last week. I don't know why he decided to pop off. I saw some stat that said that most teams that didn't make the playoffs had either Nick Chubb or T. Higgins, which makes sense. So now T. Higgins all of a sudden wants to do well. I don't really understand what's going on, but he doesn't care about fantasy. He's a loser. No, I'm just kidding, T. But that being said, I got the asterisk next to Tyler Boyd. That's just in case Jamar Chase is completely out, which it looks like he's going to be. I would start him in a flex spot in a high league. So my notes for this one, I don't really know what's going on for any of these teams, especially on the Pittsburgh side. Cincinnati's looking like they're just treading water a little bit, just because they have some momentum. Jake Browning, you should have never cut me. I don't know if y'all saw the clip with the Minnesota game, but he's hype. I'm hype about it. But I'm not hype about Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is garbage. They have no players. They have no. I don't want to say they have no coaching, but it seems like Mike Tomlin's starting to kind of not have that team anymore. He's never had a losing season, but his team's at 500 right now, and they've lost, 3 straight against the Cardinals, the Pats, and the Colts. Man, when you have a team like Pittsburgh does, you should be winning those games, especially against the Cardinals, against the Patriots. You should not be losing those games, but here we are with Pittsburgh being 7-7. So I'm not saying it's Mike Tomlin's on the hot seat, but I'm just saying be prepared. Be aware that he could be, rumored to not be there as much longer because, Pittsburgh's good for their coaches, and they've only had 3 in like 30 years or something crazy. So I wouldn't expect him to be gone too soon, but I think it's the downhill part for him. But, it is what it is. Let's get out of here. Let's move on to the next one. Ooh, I'm liking this one. This one's going to be good. It could be better, but I doubt it because Chargers suck, and they're playing at home, and Chargers suck at home. So we got another Saturday game at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We got the Buffalo Bills as a minus 12-point favorite. Everyone, I think, on that Buffalo side, you're going to want to start. I got Josh Allen. I got James Cook. I got Stephon Diggs. And then I got either tight end, but I'll go into there a little bit in just a second. But then I love the defensive play. I absolutely love the defensive play just because the Chargers are weak right now. No Justin Herbert. No Keenan Allen. Who are their weapons? They have Austin Eckler, but he's been... Oh, I spelled Ackler. Whoops, my fault, people. That's my bad. But there's no weapons on that side. I don't really know how they're even going to generate points or any production on the field. So be cautious on any Chargers players, especially Austin Eckler, just because they might try to overwork him, and that might not work out at all, just because Buffalo may be aware that Austin Eckler is the only guy, on that team. But I'm loving the defense, especially just because of that. But the tight end side on the Bills, not too confident just because Dalton Kincaid, he's very good. Don't get me wrong. He's a great rookie. There's no ceiling for him. He's pretty inconsistent. 2 years down the road, this guy could be incredible. He could be one of the best tight ends in the league for all that we know. But as of right now, especially with Dawson Knox becoming healthier and healthier each and every day, don't know if you can have full confidence starting Dalton Kincaid. It was nice while Dawson Knox was gone and Josh Allen and him had a really good connection. I just don't know if it's going to be there anymore. But be cautious, if he's your only option, like me, then you can start him and just hope and pray that your other guys will do well. I don't know. We'll have to see what goes on. Let's get out of here. I'm tired of this game. All right, now we have our Sunday games. We have the easy Sunday games. We got Cleveland versus Houston. I don't agree with the point spread. I think it should be much higher. I would put it at like at least 5 or even a touchdown, but NFL does not like betting high spreads. But I have Amari Cooper, David Njoku, Jerome Ford, and the defense. Cleveland's defense has been solid all year, I would say, and this is probably the best option at this time if you have Cleveland's defense. I don't think you're ever going to bench them just because they're one of the elite defenses in the league. But yeah, I mean, I'm loving the matchup because C.J. Stroud's out. Case Keenum's old, man. He's old. And even if Davis Mills plays, I don't know. I don't know if you're going to want to even dabble into any of those Houston players. That's why I got Devin Singletary. He's going to be the workload guy, and that's a tough front seven that the Browns have. I don't really want to start a guy that's facing that kind of caliber of the front seven. But even if C.J. Stroud somehow plays, he's not going to play. You're still not starting him. I'm sorry. I know he's carried you all the way to the playoffs, and now he's gone. You're looking for him like, where's Waldo? You have no idea. But yeah, just one more time. We got Amari Cooper, David Njoku, Jerome Ford, defense and special teams. I love them. And on the Houston side, just Devin Singletary. But I imagine most of y'all don't have the Devin Singletary side, which is all right. So let's move on to the next one. And we've got a classic here, Detroit Lions versus Minnesota Vikings. A lot of divisional rival games this week. Vikings need a win, man. They need a win if they want any sort of shot to get in the playoffs. I don't know the numbers. I don't know if they get eliminated for this game, if they somehow lost. But I just know if they win, they're closer. But, man, it's going to be tough because they're also a little banged up too, But let's start on the Detroit side. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Sam Laporta. Detroit's a minus 3-point favorite. Again, I would probably lift it up a little bit. Maybe it's just because they're on the road, but Detroit is a solid team, a good 10-4 team. No one, thought they would be this good. Knew they'd lose some games, but they play good football. They're not winning their games by just some points or whatever, but they are winning their games. Sam Laporta, he's been on fire. He's had one bad week the past 3 weeks or so, but He came in clutch last week with those 3 touchdowns. Now, David Montgomery, I have him, and I'm very nervous just because he is touchdown dependent, and I don't necessarily like that. But if they get in the red zone, he's going to be the guy. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be that 2nd and 10, I would say like 3rd and 8 or so. You're just trying to dump it off, trying to get some yards there, which, for a football standpoint, it's okay. But as a fantasy standpoint, that's amazing. You can get any guy in there that could do well. On the Minnesota side, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison are the only guys that I think that you're going to go in there with confidence. I got all the asterisks next to Ty Chandler. Just because if Alexander Madison somehow does not play on Sunday, you're going to want to start Ty Chandler. He also had a clutch performance last week with a touchdown and several yards and a good amount of catches just for a little bit of value. But yeah, if you have Ty Chandler, start him in your flex. I don't know if you want to start it. Maybe you could start him in your RB2. But if you start in your RB1, I don't know what's going on for yourself. That's a sad life, I would say. But that's why you come to Fantasy Blitz, man. Oh, what's up? Will Edwards. What up, William? He said, I left Addison on the bench last week. I know you did, and I appreciate it. It would have made the game a whole lot closer, which is okay. But that's why you got to come on over here, Squilliam, so I can help you out, bro. But let's move on to the next game. I'm tired of this one. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Oh, wait, not that one. My bad. Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, we have the Colts versus the Falcons. I don't know how in the world the Falcons are a 1-point favorite. This makes 0 sense to me just because of what we did last week against the Panthers. And for those that know, I am a Falcons fan. Yes, we do exist. We do exist as Falcons fans. Even after Arthur Smith is burning this team to the ground, I don't even want to blame Desmond Ridder. I know that was a terrible pass, and he shouldn't have made that pass, but how do you lose to the 1-12 Panthers on a rainy day? You have some of the best run game in the entire league, and you're not running the ball. It makes no sense. On my notes, I literally just have Arthur Smith because I could talk about him all day. He's making me lose my passion for the Falcons. I hate it. I hate it every day. I can't wait for him to go. But yeah, it's looking rough. But let's get out. I don't want to keep ranting on about that. But so on the Colts side, I got a lot of asterisks next to Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman Jr. That's if they play. All right, if they're healthy and they're good to go, I think both of them could have a solid day against the Falcons. I don't know how much of a solid day, but, they're kind of studs in a way, so I think you would want to start them. But then Zach Moss, right under. If Jonathan Taylor does not play, you're going to want to start Zach Moss because the Falcons have a good defense, all right? And I've watched every game this year, right? They have a good defense, but somehow we always manage to let a running back slip away with a good play or a big play or whatever. So I'm a little nervous about Zach Moss just kind of popping off overall, but it should be fine. On the Atlanta side, you got Bijan, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. Starting off with Kyle Pitts, if you have a better tight end, start him. I don't think you're going to want to start Kyle Pitts from here on out. It's already past the trade deadline, so you're stuck with him. But there probably are streaming options. I bet Tyler Conklin, New York Jets tight end, I picked him up last week just to put him on the bench. He gave me 5 points, right? Not bad, not great. But I had Dalton Kincaid. He put up a big donut, right? So you have these options on the tight end streaming that you can pick up. And I think if you have Pitts, you can have that option of getting a better player. What's up, Davis Apple? Go Bills, go Bills, go Bills. Yeah, I would 1,000% say go Bills, go Bills, go Bills. Thank you, and also reminded me to switch over the slides. Yes, so, and also with Bijan, man, 0 points. 0 points last week. And I blame Arthur Smith. Let me see my notes. Bijan's had 17 total carries in the last 2 games. 17 total carries in the last 2 games. He is your first-round pick, Arthur Smith. Your first-round pick, and you're not giving him at least 15 touches a game. It makes no sense to me, but hopefully he can wake up this week, Arthur Smith, and give Bijan the ball a whole lot more. Because who would have thought if you let your players make plays, good things happen? That's just, it's insane to me. I don't know. But, honestly, he can only go up from here. He put up 0 points, unless he only fumbles, but knock on wood. But, yeah, I feel confident starting Bijan, but there is a risk. There is a risk just because Arthur Smith is his head coach. Who knows what we'll be saying next year. Let's get out of this one, on to the next. Oh, wait a second. You got to pay the fee. You got to like and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Look, if I may, I've been talking way too much, but, it's just me out here. If you could like this video, if you could just tell any friend, any relative, any coworker to subscribe to the channel, It may seem like nothing to you, but it's everything to me. And Nick and Adam over here at Fantasy Blitz. We're just trying to help y'all win, man. And we're trying to make a fun little community out of this. And it's just out of fun, man. We're just trying to help each other out and, just help grow the channel. And also, you could be part of the early birds, Then you can have that early bird rep. I don't even know what I'm saying. Let's move on. Next game, Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Seattle versus Tennessee. We have the Seattle Seahawks as 2.5-point favorites, which I think is a solid line. But on the Seattle side, you got Kenneth Walker, who looked fantastic last week against the Eagles, or I guess I should say Monday, which was amazing. That was a great game on Monday. But yeah, Kenneth Walker looking good. He's way more involved in the pass game than in the run game, I would say, because these teams they just know how to figure out Seattle in a way, because he's always due for a breakout run, or he's dependent on a breakout run, I would say. He had that 23-yard rushing touchdown last week. But he's still looking good. He's looking healthy, and I think when Kenneth Walker is healthy, he's dangerous. When he went on that little skid, he was not looking great health-wise, but when he's healthy, he's looking good. Will Levis. Oh, I'll get there, Squilliam. Don't even worry. We got DK Metcalf right now, and Geno with some asterisks, and JSN. Look, man, shout out to Jackson Smith. Great catch, but that's all because Drew Lock put a great ball in his hand. However, if Geno's back, I think we needed that game from JSN just for him to strive and able to take that next step. It's going to be a long road ahead for him. Not that he's going to struggle, but, just become one of the elite receivers in the league, because that's the cool thing nowadays is to be, dang, it gets me every time, just to be an elite receiver. But asterisk next to Geno, he's a good streaming option. He's on a lot of waivers for a lot of leagues, surprisingly. So if he's starting, you're going to want to start DK with full confidence. If he's not starting, I'll put DK in your flex as a little flex, wordplay right there. But on the Tennessee side, we got Derrick Henry. Hopkins, man, I just don't know what's going on. And to speak about Will, hey, what up, Mr. Hammond? Yeah, he's too busy eating mayo. That's just all it is. It's an interesting life that he has. Ooh, excuse me. But TJ Spears, that's my boy. I'll forever be in debt to TJ Spears because he helped me advance to the playoffs. So shout out to that guy. But I'm worried about Hopkins just because of the quarterback situation. I have confidence in Will Levis, right? Just not right now. He didn't get a full start of a season. He got thrown into the fire. And he's looked okay. He's a rookie. We all have to remember that he is a rookie and that he will have his struggles. But I think under Mike Vrabel, he will definitely strive. Don't know for how long because, NFL is weird. But, yeah, I'm not going to start him in any leagues because you should have a better quarterback. 1,000% should have a better quarterback. But let's move on to the next game. Let's get out of this one. All right, Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we got the Washington Commanders versus the New York Jets. Jets are 5.5-point favorites. Jets fans, I'm sure that's a little weird to see your team as a favorite. No diss. I'm a Falcons fan. We know how the struggle is. Washington side, there's this player named No One. Oh, wait, never mind. You're not going to start anyone on the Commanders side, all right? No, because the defense on the Jets side will lock up Terry McLaurin and Sam Howell. And don't even think about starting Brian Robinson Jr. It will not work out with that front seven on the New York Jets side. So if you have any Washington players, let them ride the bench. Let them have an off day, Let them rest for next week when you guys advance to the finals. But on the Jets side, we have Breece Hall, the defense, and Garrett Wilson. Had to put that G in there. Over here at Fantasy Blitz, we will never, ever, ever recommend you starting Zach Wilson. No diss to Zach, but it will not happen. But Garrett Wilson, he's starting to look a little bit better over the time that he's been playing with Zach Wilson. Breece Hall, I'm loving him. Top 10 fantasy running back, and he's a Swiss Army knife. Give him some space, he's gone. He can make some guys move, he can get extra yards. His yards after catch is phenomenal. But that defense, man, shout out that Jet defense. Golly, I believe they're number 3 in most fantasy rankings. Especially, you're gonna want to start him in this scenario. I picked him up. I don't know how I got him, but I picked him up. I'm expecting them to get a lot of sacks, and they're definitely gonna force a couple turnovers because they're at home, and the Jets like to cause chaos at home. But yeah, I like the point spread at 5.5. Definitely a touchdown game. Could be more, but I don't know. It's the Jets. I mean, you never know what's going to happen with them. It's kind of a funny thing, but it is what it is. Let's get out of here. Ooh, next game, we got Green Bay versus Carolina. We have Green Bay Packers as a 4.5-point favorites. This game is also at 1 o'clock p.m. You're going to start Jordan Love, and you're going to start Aaron Jones. That's really all about it because their wide receivers are banged up. Even if Christian Watson is looking healthy, I don't know if I have confidence because Carolina's secondary, man. They have a good secondary, and they kind of scare me because Bill Belichick rumors to join the Panthers is real, and I don't want to deal with that at all. But yeah, I mean, Jordan Love, I've been preaching this guy for a minute now. He's going to be good. You can clip this if you know how to do that. I don't even know how to do that. Jordan Love will be a top 5 quarterback within the next 5 years or so. Oh, 5 years is a long time. Well, people take time to develop, right? But I think he's looking fantastic. Carolina side, well, look at that. We finally have a name, Chuba Hubbard. He's looking great. He's had at least 20 carries or 20 touches in the last 3 games. I think the spread was 24 games in a 25 game. He's just the workhorse, man. Miles Sanders died off, and who would have thought the younger running back would do better than an older Miles Sanders? I don't know if y'all can hear that, but I think this place is holding a Christmas party. Wow, this is crazy. But yeah, let's move on to this next game because I think Green Bay is going to blow them out of the water. I would move that point spread up to 6. Sunday at 4. These are afternoon games. Sunday at 4:05 p.m. Eastern Time. We got Jacksonville versus Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is a -1 point favorite. So we'll start on the Tampa Bay side since they're favorites. I love Rachaad White. I love Mike Evans. I love Chris Godwin, and I love Baker Mayfield. But I love Baker Mayfield if you're streaming him. Right, I'm in a situation where he's off waivers for my league, but I had Justin Herbert, IR, Jared Goff, don't want to start him against Minnesota. Baker, I would not be against doing this, especially at home. He plays rather well at home. So that's why I got the asterisk next to him. Trevor Lawrence, if he's healthy, I didn't include the names. If he's healthy, Calvin Ridley is going to be okay to play. He's going to be okay to play. I wouldn't say confidence, a wide receiver 2 or a flex position, but it all depends on Trevor Lawrence. ETN, Ingram, they're going to do their things from here on out the rest of the season. I love those guys because we've been preaching them since the beginning of the season, and they've been doing well. So we have to do that at Fantasy Blitz. We got to know who's going to be doing well, who's not. But also, this is football and human football. Things happen. Things change. People change. Let's move on to the next game. Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. This is going to be, ladies and gentlemen, this game is underrated. And I know a lot of people say this is the battle of the mid, because either team can't beat good teams. But that's wrong. We're going to find out if either team can beat a good team. And my early pick is we're going to go with Miami. Definitely going to cover, but they're 1.5 point favorites. But a lot of studs in this game, right? There's a lot of studs that you could play. We'll start on the Miami side. We got Tua. We got Tyreek. We got Jalen Waddle. We got Raheem Mostert. Achan's got the ... after him because he's been slacking as of recent, right? Raheem Mostert has come back into his full. Andy, if you're watching this, I said some things about Raheem Mostert back in the day. I take him back. He's been playing a whole lot better. But I give credit to Mike McDaniel. All right, I think Raheem Mostert, I'm not saying he's only good because of Mike McDaniel, but I think Mike McDaniel is one of the smartest minds, or has one of the smartest minds in all of football. But let's move on to the Dallas side. Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, and Jake Ferguson. I love me some Jake Ferguson. Adam's been putting us on early in the year, and he's been growing overall. Let me move this over so y'all can see fully. But I think Dallas, they need a bounce back win. They need a huge bounce back win after that embarrassing loss to the Bills. Both teams have a lot to prove, just because, like I said earlier, there's just, like a whole thing about teams not being able to compete against, or Miami and Dallas not being able to compete against good teams. And this is a chance for either team to show. Even if one team, both teams or one team's going to lose, but both teams have a chance to compete here. All Cowboys are good to go, so I have full confidence in them to be able to put up good numbers. Both teams have a solid defense. I'm very excited for this one. These are one of those games where you can just sit back and enjoy some football. Unless you're a Dallas fan or a Miami fan, then you're going to be screaming at the TV all day. So let's move on to this next game. I'm very excited about the next one. Oh, just kidding. It's the next one. Arizona versus Chicago. 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. 4.5 point favorites for Chicago. We'll just I want to get out of this one quick. Justin Fields, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. You can start any running back, right? But the thing is, they have too many running backs. And I'm including Justin Fields into that because I believe he was the lead rusher either 2 games ago or last game. I wouldn't be surprised if it were both. So I would be cautious. I wouldn't even start him. But if you have to, go ahead. I don't want to just because, you never know. Only one guy can score the football. So go in there with caution. So we're going to move on to the Arizona side. We'll be quick. Trey McBride, this guy's a star. You can start him in your flex, honestly. If you somehow picked him up off of waivers and you have another tight end, you can start him in your flex easily. I think he put up around 20 points last game, and that's incredible for a tight end. I've never even heard of this guy. No offense to him, I've never heard. Then James Conner. Don't know much about him going to be how he's going to do against the Bears. I'm a little nervous for him just because Arizona sucks. You know, Kyle Murray is out there running like a toddler, like he is. Not saying he's immature. He's just the memes. You know, if you know, you know. But yeah, let's get out of here. I hate this one so bad. This one, okay, maybe I'm mixed up with my games. This one I'm not too happy about just because it's not 2015 anymore. We're not having Brady versus Manning. We're having Bailey Zappi versus Russell Wilson. So I'm not very excited about this. Denver's 6.5-point favorites, rightfully so, I would say, because they've been one of the hottest teams as of recent. Javonte Williams, that New England defense, they're shaky, but I think he can definitely get some passes caught in the backfield and get a couple yards. Russell Wilson, I mean, that guy's been pretty mid all year, I would say, just because in the past 2 games he's been really inconsistent with his touchdowns. Don't believe he's turned over the ball that much, but I would be careful just because it's Russell Wilson. Don't let him cook too much because it could get kind of ugly. All right, on the New England side, Hunter Henry, 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. Phenomenal. Is that going to happen again? Maybe. But here's the thing. Bailey Zappi must like Hunter Henry. He's been targeting him, I think a total of 11 times. I haven't written that stat down. I should get that next time. But 11 times, 3 touchdowns. I mean, from a tight end, that's all you really need. You know, for realistically, if you don't have someone named Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, Mark Andrews, you're looking for guys that can give you at least 6 or 7. They're just little boost points, right? If you've been playing fantasy for a while, you know how true this is. You can't always get those Lamborghinis and Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews. So you got to sell for guys like Hunter Henry on the waiver wire. You got to be keen on those, man. You got to be keen on the waiver wire for tight ends. So then we have Zeke and then Ramondre Stevenson. You're only going to start one of them depending on Ramondre's health. I'm hoping he's healthy. I need him to be healthy. Hey, Ramondre, if you're somehow seeing this, please rest up that ankle. I need you to play. You got until Sunday night. You can make it. You know, I have confidence in you. But I would say start either of them just because Denver ranks 31st in run defense. Terrible. I don't know who you would be like. I just don't know why they're that bad. I think they have a pretty solid defense overall, but that secondary is pretty dirty. The run defense, not so much. Let's move on to the next games because we have 3 Monday games, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are minus 10-point favorites. This game's at 1 o'clock. So for Kansas City, we have Mahomes, Kelce, Pacheco. If he's healthy, he's looking to be healthy. And then we have Rashee Rice. I guess Rashee Rice is going to be wide receiver 1 for that team from here on out. Just because Kadarius Toney does not know how to catch. It's looking a little scary. And it's not even a meme anymore. Like, he actually can't catch the ball. I think he had like 2 to 3 drops last week. As a receiver, you should have 0, technically. So if you have Rashee Rice, flex him. I think that's a good place to go. On the Vegas side, Josh Jacobs, if he's looking healthy, sure, go ahead. Don't know how many points he's going to score because Kansas City's front 7, phenomenal, good run defense. But then you got to start Devontae Adams. It would feel unlawful. Unlawful is the word, ladies and gentlemen, to sit Devontae Adams because, I mean, he's just a stud muffin. You wouldn't want to, I called him a stud muffin. You wouldn't want to bench Devontae Adams overall, especially against the Chiefs. I know Aiden O'Connell's probably going to be that guy for the rest of the year unless something happens. But he's Devontae Adams. He's going to be good until he doesn't want to be good or until his body says stop being so good. Let's move on to this question. Robert says, dude, how can I start Bijan after last week? I agree. It's Arthur Smith. I'm telling you, once Arthur Smith gets out, all right, let me put full screen. Once Arthur Smith gets out, then we can have full confidence. But he's here till the end because the Falcons have already confirmed that there will be no coaching changes until the end of the year. But I would say you have no option, Robert, just because you probably picked him pretty early, right? And if you have other running backs, you either picked him up or you drafted him later in the rounds. So you're going to have to start him. Don't know what is. It's a risk. I'm telling you, it's a risk, but he could easily pop off just for a touchdown or 2 just because Taylor Heineke is going to be starting under gun and they're going to be relying on Bijan to do well. But yeah, man, I totally understand. Looking at your roster, just going, he should be good, but why not? So I understand, but that's why we're here to help you out, have that confidence. Let's move on to the next game. We've got Monday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We have the Giants versus the Eagles. Another high point spread. The Eagles are 11.5-point favorites. They're definitely going to want to have a bounce back win after this, just because you don't want to lose to Seattle at on a away game. And they had that game in their hands, but they just couldn't get anything past him. I think his name's James Bradbury. I believe that's his name. He's the Eagles secondary. He's part of the Eagles secondary. And I saw a clip, and it said that the Seahawks targeted him on almost every single play in the final drive, which is pretty sad because if you're getting targeted, that means you're doing something wrong. But this is not the Seahawks. These are the New York Football Giants. And you're going to want to start Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. A.J. Brown only put up 10 points, which is crazy because he only put up 10 points, which is not a bad stat. But for a guy like A.J. Brown, you're definitely going to want to have a guy or a night like him to have at least 15 points or so. Giant side, I mean, Philly, I have the stat right here. Philly is rather terrible against the QBs. So 31st in QB points allowed in fantasy. But I believe they rank second or first, or I think it is second, against the run defense. So if anything, Barkley's going to get a majority of his points through the air, not on the ground. You're not going to start Tommy DeVito. Some of my friends have been asking me, should I start Tommy DeVito as a joke? Sure, but I don't know if you're going to want to start him in real life. Start him in your brain. How about that? Let's move on to the next game. The Super Bowl matchup that I actually believe that will happen if the cards play correctly. Monday Night Football, Christmas football at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. This will be a perfect game for you to wind down and relax to after a long Christmas day. To watch a good football game. We got the 49ers as minus 5-point favorites. And overall, I didn't have a lot of notes for this game just because the game speaks for itself. Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuel, all studs, right? But Baltimore's defense, they're not making any noise, but that's good because no one's able to make noise against them. Their defense, their secondary, they're one of the best teams in all categories for QBs, running backs, wide receivers. I believe they're top 5 in almost every category, especially against wide receivers. So I'm very excited to see how Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel go. Deebo should definitely get some of his production from jet sweeps or just being in the backfield overall. I left Brock Purdy out because Baltimore is the number 1 or number 2. I have Baltimore and Philly switched up. Number 1 or number 2 team against quarterbacks in fantasy. So that being said, he could turn over the ball, he could fumble the ball, but I do trust Purdy. If you absolutely need to start him, go ahead and do that. On the Baltimore side, let's go Ravens. For those that know or don't know, they are my second favorite team, not just because of Lamar Jackson. He definitely does help. But you're going to want to start Lamar, Zay Flowers, and Isaiah Likely. I have Isaiah Likely on there just because if you picked him up, you probably needed to pick him up, right? Your tight end was probably Mark Andrews or just a guy that was struggling or Kyle Pitts, and you needed some guy to give you those extra points. I love the Isaiah Likely because Lamar Jackson loves Isaiah Likely. They've been looking to get after him all game, all the time. They're always looking for him. Oh, excuse me. Zay Flowers, he put up a stinker last week. Only 1 point, 1 catch for, I believe, 7 yards. That's not going to happen again. Lamar is definitely going to turn it up. He's primetime Lamar. Watch him in primetime. I think y'all are going to be blown away. If you have been keeping up, you know how he will blow up. Last one, I didn't put him on there. Gus Edwards. He could easily get a touchdown or 2, but I don't know how much production he's going to have. He's got a lot of value inside the 5, but I don't know if there's outside of the 5-yard line, outside the 10-yard line, if there's going to be a lot of value in production from him. But if they're inside the 5, you're sitting pretty. But if you have Gus Edwards, you have better options. I think the Gus bus is over. I think it's time to get off and get on the next stop, or get off this stop and get on the next bus. I don't know who's the next bus, but we'll have to see for that one. Things to know, though. All right. Over here at Fantasy Blitz, we do not gamble. But if we did, this is what we would look at. These are the highs and the lows. We have Dallas versus Miami, 50-point total. I'm hammering the over. Just because both defenses are good, but we are in the new century, ladies and gentlemen. We have high offensive production, right? Dallas will definitely put up points. Miami will put up points. I'm looking at like a 31-27 game. We just need to get over 50. Then we have New England versus Denver at a 34.5-point favorite. Or not favorite, I'm sorry, total. Just because there's no offense on each side. Or no good offenses on each side. So I'm taking the under on that. That's not even, oh my gosh, that's not even a 20-17 game. That's good. And that's Sunday Night Football. Thank you, Roger Goodell. I really do appreciate it. Get out of the past and get in with the new, man. Flex some new games. I don't know. It's frustrating. But yeah, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Week 16. It's your boy, Eli. Also, I just want to say it's happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Don't forget what it's all about. You got to cherish your friends and family. Be thankful for where have you been put. I know times can get tough, but we're all learning this together. And to leave it off, be kind and God bless. This is Eli Heron, Fantasy Blitz. I'm out.